Evolution.org, episode 641 coming your way. Today we have your favorite guests that we've had on. Another part two EVO Moderator, Vanlife-GymBum. This is going to be the part two episode. Really, really excited to have him back on the show. He was very popular on his last one. So you can look him up on the forum on the top right, search. You can search by member. It's going to be Van, V-A-N, Life, L-I-F-E, underscore, Gym, G-Y-M, Bum, B-U-M. So he is really, really awesome. He's going to bring in a lot of stories today. We're going to talk about the training courses that he's talked about on the forum, his lab testing that he's talked about, his eggs. He's a big, big egg person. We're going to talk about that as well. It's going to be a really fun podcast. First, to remind everybody, we are on Apple, we are on Spotify. Smash the like button, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. It helps the algorithms pick up our podcast. So make sure you're checking us out on all the platforms. I like to listen to the podcast myself while I'm driving. So it really is awesome. So Van Bum, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it this morning. And it's late your time out there in New Zealand.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, it's 1 a.m. now, but last time it was 2 a.m., so that's a slight improvement.
Yeah. Well, for a Van Bum, right? 1 or 2 a.m. That's you're like a bat. That's your prime time, right? 1 or 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's not like I have a job or anything.
Exactly. So you're gonna sleep until like 1 or 2 p.m. After this podcast. It don't really matter.
I'll be dead.
Yeah, and my new dog course starts on Tuesday, not Monday, because that would be too much of a stretch for a dog blood.
Yeah. It's not that way. Listen, I tell you something, Steve, just to introduce Vanlife-GymBum for people that haven't heard him before. When we had him on the previous show, and this is the kind of vibe that I got, and I suspect it's the kind of vibe that people have got, which has made it so popular, is that Van Life is a little bit like me. They were kind of like storytellers, and the excitement and the energy that comes across with those storytelling, the sort of vibe or whatever else. That's what people are hooked into van life, just as much as the whole fact that you live in a van, but you're still out there kicking ass. But it's the energy and the vibe and even the transformation from where you were before. So people love those kind of backstories. They like how you come across on these shows. And that's 100% the reason why we've had you back on, because we were blown away by some of the aspects of the previous show. People have obviously told you this on the forums, and it's kind of like, and I used this before the show. I said that van life is living the life that he lives, right? But for people that are looking in from the outside van life, and I think we said something like this to you before, they can't imagine that you can do what you're fucking doing. And I mean training courses, I mean go to the gym, I mean kicking ass in life and whatever else, with your background and living out of a van. It doesn't sort of register for most people because we're so used to the normal day-to-day stuff. But the reality is that's exactly what he's doing. This is how he lives. It's his normal. It's our different. But he's out there kicking ass, taking names, doing training courses, chasing the ladies, you fucking name it. He's doing that stuff. And the way that he comes across, the energy that comes across, that's the reason why we got you back on, dude, because we fucking love that shit and how you come across. So listen, yeah, it might be 1 o'clock in the fucking morning and the guy's still on fire. So let's rock and roll, Cowboys.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys. That didn't go that smooth this week, though. I've actually been sleeping outside the mechanics for like 3 days now, so I'm not near the beach or the gym.
So update us on that. What's going on with that? Was the weather?
Oh no, like my van hasn't gone for a while, but that's just because I ran the battery down and I didn't have anyone to jumpstart me. And that was sweet for a while, but I got it going again, and the like course that the government's making me do is actually on the other side of town, so I got like catch like 2 buses to get there. So I got my van going again. I drove over there, but on Wednesday when I went and got those like samples from the new UGL tested at the fucking needle exchange, when I was finished, my van didn't start again. And where I was broken down was like on the main street of Wellington, where the needle exchange is, which like turns into a clearway later on. So I was like, oh, fuck, I have to do something about this. So I ended up getting towed to like getting my entire van towed to like the side of town where I usually live on, but outside the mechanics, which is like nowhere near the gym. So that's where I've been living this week.
So what's wrong with the van? Did they diagnose what's wrong? Does it need a new battery or what?
Oh yeah, the tension is fucked and like can't get the belt back on, so I need to buy a new tensioner. It's not like a massive job. I don't have any money, so it becomes a massive job.
So what's gonna happen? You're gonna try to make some money, or what's going on with that to try to pay for it?
I haven't thought too much about it, but I was thinking of living outside the mechanics, and when my parents returned from their holiday in China, hitting them up for a loan.
Okay. All right. That's I guess hey, that's the bum life, right? You just don't give a shit, right? It's just like you just play it like here, right? Like if it was me, I'd be stressing out. Like when my girlfriend her car was leaking oil, I flipped out, man. I took it to every mechanic. I was like, here, I was like, I was freaking out about it. I like wasted half my day on it. And you were like, who gives a shit, right? It's just another day. I'm just gonna sleep outside the mechanic,
I think there's
I don't like,
sorry,
that.
Van Life. There's a thing sometimes if you've gone through certain things in life that kind of make you think slightly differently, Steve. So we did a show recently where we were talking about depression, and obviously we've talked about, with van life included, addiction issues. And you go, right, so the idea that the van breaking down, or as you said, the oil leak is a big fucking deal. And you go, no, that's fuck all. It's nothing compared to some of the other shit that I've done in the past or I've had to deal with. So would be a big issue suddenly becomes something, fuck it, get done tomorrow. I'll get done next week. It's not as important.
It's not that I don't care. It's that there's like literally nothing I can do about it. So like stressing out about
why stress? Why stress? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like
that. If it's raining, I'm going to get wet. There's no point stressing over it. Yeah.
We see so many people, they stress out over everything. Like they watch the news and then they freak out over everything that's going on like halfway in the world. And our ancestors a million years ago, you really think if your ancestors were in Asia, you really think they gave a shit about what was going on in Africa or what was going on in the Central America? That you think the fucking Mayans gave a shit what was going on in Mongolia?
Just as an example, Steve, just a few weeks ago, I don't watch the news. I watch very little TV. I don't even have a proper way to watch TV here in my place. And one of my neighbor's daughters that comes to visit their parents had seen something about an issue in Iran and said, if it all kicks off, Dad, when they were staying there and having a cup of tea and a biscuit or something, can we go and live in my place, meaning me, across the road? Because they'd probably be like, stay in the cellar if there was a war and shit. So the parents told me for a laugh. And I'm like, the fuck, exactly. So she'd seen something on the news, panics, and wondered what to do. And as you said, Steve, that's like 14,000 fucking miles away.
Yeah.
Why
it's sad. I mean, I acknowledge that it's sad. I have empathy for what goes around, but we can't stress out over something we can't control.
Every single day that humans have been alive.
To drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? We've always had wars. We've still always had wars. It's the same shit as before.
Yeah, fuck all that shit. I couldn't even tell you who the current prime minister is, to be honest.
Well, that's the bum life, right?
People bitching.
Did they? Yeah. So what's going on with other updates since we last talked in terms of your training? Let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah. No, things have been good since like last time we talked. So when we talked last, I was on week 8 of my I basically decided to do my first log as kind of like a prep to do my first cycle. So I don't want to say it was a cut. I started taking retatrutide and 300 mgs of testosterone, and I did that for 8 weeks, like losing weight and like inducting myself into TRT at the same time. Like I didn't start with TRT doses. I went straight to 300 mgs. But like I'll drop like to TRT later on when I've finished like experimenting with bodybuilding stuff. But that 8 weeks had just finished when we talked last, and Now I'm taking 500 milligrams of testosterone and 250 mgs of equipoise with, the 2-to-1 ratio that we've been talking about for like ages on the forum. That's really cool. Like, I heard about it on the podcast with like Americans saying like the opposite, like estrogen effect happened to them, to like people in Australia. I was like, wow, that's really crazy. And
Yeah.
I was really interested in equipoise because Lee Priest was into it. And I don't know, like everyone in Australia knows about it because of like horse racing's massive over there. Like, I don't know,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
when I got my cabin in Australia, there was like an old shed and it had like a fucking like giant liter bottle of like brand name equipoise. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of around. So like, but also because of the time of year it is, like just becoming spring and like everything I learned about it from like you guys, it sounded so perfect for me. So that's where I wanted to start.
Yeah, it's a great
One of
steroid
the
for
sorry,
sure.
one of the little stories for you is, Steve, and I've seen this a few years ago now, is that when the guys got a little bit excited about some of the veterinary steroids, they didn't understand that the milligrams per milliliter is vastly different compared to the stuff that we use, what we would call human grade, or what we would use for PED purposes. So, for example, you can buy 1 liter, that's 1,000 fucking mil bottles of certain veterinary steroids, but it'll only be 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams per milliliter because obviously they're dosing the horses in a different kind of way. They're not doing the 250, 300 milligram. And then, of course, what really got some of the Oz guys and the New Zealand guys excited was the fact that this stuff is per liter or per 1,000 mil a lot fucking cheaper. But we go, no, it's cheaper because of the milligrams per milliliter. You would have to take hundreds of fucking milliliters to get the same effect as you would for, say, 2 or 3 10 mil vials at 250, 300 milligrams. So they suddenly realized this is great plan of going to their
Yeah.
farmer buddy or their horse buddy is not going to work out. So yeah, but it's that silly little thing out there that people. But obviously, as you said, mate, we know it's used for performance in racing. We know it's used for performance with stud. We know it's used with the training and so on and so forth, fattening up cattle with the other alternatives. So yeah, but we look at that. We also look at that science as well. We study how they're using it and see if we can obviously use it. And the other thing that Steve said many times is that some of these drugs aren't true veterinary steroids that actually started off for human use and then they switched over to animal use. And that's where we kind of picked that kind of stuff up, some of the information. So it's kind of weird in that particular regard. Totally. But absolutely, mate. Especially with the massive cattle and sheep thing that you've got in both countries, because obviously then there's an opportunity there. But again, it's not as exciting as people think. But we certainly look at the information and how it's being used.
It's probably known. Yeah, there's like Trembolone used tons in the cattle industry. Like I saw that at the freezing works when I worked there as well. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if like those Aussie crackheads in the outback have like figured out how to reduce it down and shit and sell it. Like I used to love those stories about in the 90s how they'd get those like cow pellets with the Trembolone in it and figured out how to like do extractions on that. That's awesome. I love that shit.
Yeah, so where are you still going to the same gym that we talked about on the last podcast, or did you change your gyms?
No, so like basically like before I started working out, the gym was like that's where I shower and charge my phone and shit. Like I've been using gyms ever since I moved into vans 4 years ago. But I had a really busy week and didn't go to the gym this week. But yeah, I've just been going to the same gyms, and I went to a different branch of the same chain over the other side of town last week. That was cool. Now my van's like sort of starting to work again. I was getting around a bit more because the weather's starting to get really nice now, and like people are out on the beach, and like there's like been some proper like summer type days. So like getting around in the van's been sweeter. I want to start cooking outdoors more and shit. But yeah, what I did last summer was like I'd go to like morning group classes that like at 6, 7 a.m. and yeah, they were really cool. And like I'd pretty much go to stay in like a suburb that had a branch of the gym with like a class happening the next day and go stay somewhere near it, and then just wake up early in the morning and go to that group class. I want to start doing that again. But yeah, as soon as I got my van fixed, it pretty much fucked out again. So yeah, I put a bit of a damper on that plan. But Liv told me this new technique recently where he said I should, like, because I go on quite a few walks throughout the day. Like 5 times a day, I should just do like a set of 10 push-ups. So I started doing that like about a week ago, and up that to 20 today. So that's actually been really working really good for me. Like just doing small bursts of things outside of the gym that add up.
Yes.
And like actually how the topic came up was I mentioned the old podcast episode where Steve was recommending doing sit-ups in the morning, like just waking up and banging out 100 sit-ups. I was like, well, that's a fucking good idea. I should start doing that. But haven't quite got to that bit yet. But I've been doing the push-ups, and it's been working real good.
I'm just thinking for you, Vanlife, one that's going to stop you sliding back in terms of the work that you had done in the gym. And the other thing that occurs to me, and I think I remember that Steve said the thing you just said as well, was what Rich Piana, the late Rich Piana, used to call feeder sets. And some people do that almost as a way of, with the abs, it'd be a great way to condition the stomach, regardless of whether you're at the gym or not. And I think his plan was that you would do, just before you went to bed, his feeder set idea was arms or calves or whatever, something you want to get a little bit of a head on. Go to the gym, do your other stuff, do the shows that he was recording like we're recording right now. And then just before you went to bed, about half hour before you went to bed, you do like 3 sets of calf raises, have a little protein drink, and then crash. So it was one of those things. But again, because you've not been able to get to the gym as much as you like, absolutely getting out there, getting your steps in, killing your cardio no matter what, doing the stuff that you've been doing recently, keeping busy, and then just banging out 20 press-ups or something so that you feel like you've done something and you don't lose too much tissue. You don't take a step back in terms of the work you've been doing in the gym. So, look, again, listeners, even if you can't, even if you're busy, even if you're doing this shit, you can still get something done.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's exactly why I want to do it. And sort of just, it adds up to a lot of volume over time. And I do remember that Rich Piana thing where he's doing the vacuums before bed. But I should learn how to do those. I'm starting to see my abs more and more now, but I'm still in the massive calorie deficit. So you wanted to talk about the eggs thing, we can do that. Yeah, basically, like when I got on the retatrutide, I used to be carnivore. I used to have a high fat diet when I first joined EVO. Like I was eating red meat, like pretty much exclusively. But the retatrutide made it so I can't process fat anymore. It was like the first day at work, like I had a shot on a Friday night, the first retatrutide pin, and I took the whole 2 mg dose. And the next day I woke up and I used to drink instant coffee with milk in it. So I would have had like 50 mils of like full fat milk. So fuck all like fat really. And I had like 2 sips of this, and like my body rejected it. And like I didn't just biff. I mean, I did. I threw it up like straight away, but not just that. Like I instantly like lost all my energy, got real tired, and I had to go back to bed. And I like slept till lunchtime. It was real crazy. But then I went and like reported that to the forum, and that's when Liv was telling me about all the fat stuff, and I looked into it and I was like, oh, holy shit. So I basically redesigned my whole diet from there, and that's when like Liv suggested the shakes. And like, I'm a hippie, right? Like I want to eat like fucking, bits of meat and vegetables and like, natural shit. But like as far as I was concerned, like the whey powder is like a industrial byproduct. But no, he convinced me, and like and it worked real great. Like I don't know if I could have sustained that because like it was like chemical slop. And but when I added like 5 eggs per shake, all of a sudden like the nutrient content went like through the roof. It wasn't just the protein. Now it's got much
more easy for you to palate, more creamy, more thick, something for your stomach to get a hold of, something to make you feel full, but at the same time allow you to get in some of the stuff that you're missing out on. For absolutely, mate. Yeah. I mean, one of the oldest tricks in that regard, not that I'm suggesting this in your situation, but one of the tricks that some people have done in the past, which was almost counterintuitive when it comes to bodybuilding and being lean and stuff, and this is another example here, Steve, was some of the early decent protein powders, not the shit ones. They were adding full cream, the real heavy cream. And it was like, how is this top professional bodybuilder who wants to be Mr. Olympia back in the 60s and 70s adding full fat cream to their protein powder? And because it was sparing the protein powder, which was actually a good blend for muscle building, and allowing them still to function with cardio and energy. And it was kind of weird. And the whole thing with eggs, again, I'm just thinking here, guys, off the top of my head, we had a woman in this country called Edwina Curry that kind of almost fucked the egg industry by talking about certain issues with eggs and stuff. And then the reality was the farmers with the whole, sorry, not farmers, doctors with the whole cholesterol and heart disease and shit. How much did they fuck that up? And in reality, we're all good examples of how much bullshit that actually was. If you're working, if you're training, if you're fucking inactive, so you're doing 5 lots of steps per day, you're burning the fuck out of that shit. And not only that, what the fuck are steroids actually made from? They're actually made from a form of cholesterol. So it's kind of, beneficial to us if we're hitting the gym. And yes, there's I think it's actually made, there's a specific way that it's done, obviously, within types of chemical bonding and whatever else. But that's the foundation, so to speak, of how testosterone is made. It's from a form of cholesterol, and then it all bonds together, yada, yada, yada. Not my science. Other people have to do better on the science than I am right now. But
that's how they synthesize it. Yeah, you're right. And in the late 50s and early 60s, there was that Vince Gironda guy. He did half and half, like full cream. Like,
that's right.
I guess like the early protein powders were pretty much just fucking milk powder, weren't they?
They had, like, there was a fellow whose name I can't remember right now. And he was one of the very early people that actually contacted the company that manufactured the shit. And he actually had them bring up, it was a proper protein blend before whey protein isolate and concentrate. But the trick, and Larry Scott was doing this, was with the full fat cream. And you've just said, you reminded me, Vince Gironda was exactly that. It says he was one for doing 2 dozen eggs. He was one for having the cream. And he was ripped to fuck when no one else was ripped to fuck at that time.
Totally, man. So, totally. That was the secret, man.
Yeah, because again, listen, if you're doing 5 lots of steps per day, if you're doing 20 press-ups here, vacuum stuff, and so on and so forth, if you're busy as fuck, but especially when you're going to the gym, the argument against us not eating certain foods has been proved to be bollocks. But for the longest time, doctors talking about cholesterol and its connection to heart disease. Look, the reality is, if you sit on your fucking ass and you have 2 dozen eggs and you do nothing else, you're probably going to shit them out. You're probably going to have digestion issues. But if you're killing it in the gym, if you're smashing it in the gym, if you're doing 20,000 fucking steps a day, if you're active as fuck as you are, and you're interested in the training lifestyle, it's bullshit. And we know it's bullshit because we've seen the numbers that it's bullshit. We know that
it's bullshit, man. And like, they are really having a noticeable effect on me. Like, I initially in this cycle was also taking Proviron and Turinabol, but I dropped them in the second week because it was complicating things too much. But like, I can really feel the testosterone now. And when I added those eggs in, I actually got the idea from Vince Gironda, like that golden era bookworm guy on YouTube.
Carlos, yeah,
that dude. Yeah, he wrote a book that was basically summarizing all of Vince Gironda's diet shit. And Vince Gironda was using these like studies on burns victims, to where he got that egg idea from, and they were doing 36 eggs a day, and like it was really fast healing all these burns victims. So like he started doing it, and then he started getting real sliced way back then, and that was his thing. That's where I got the idea from. But like the protein powder idea.
Let me ask you an obvious question here, buddy. I mean, one of the issues people kind of freak out about, and again, this is for the benefit of newer listeners. Some of us are kind of, and I've actually done this, the first time whether you did the Rocky thing with 5 raw eggs in a glass and you swallowed them down, or even the first time you have them in a shake, there's a little bit of I feel like I'm gulping snot down. But to be fair, once you start to feel the benefits, once you start to feel, hey, hang on, this fucking shit's actually working. I've just had 30 grams of protein in one hit. I feel fucking great. I've got no issues, not having an upset stomach. And then you've added a bit of cream, or you've had it with another kind of drink, or even some people with a juice or whatever else, and turn it into sort of like almost like an egg smoothie. It's actually fucking all right. It's not it's like a sort of a eggy flavored yogurt. So it actually becomes called yeah, that's it. So for some people, they don't like the idea of it, but it's actually not that bad once you get past the first couple of goes.
Yeah, I told them their head, and it was me too, and it was because of that fucking Rocky movie. It like makes it out to look so hardcore, but it's all bullshit, man. And like the first week, I fucked around. I wasted so many eggs. Like I like Googled how do you separate egg yolks, and like I fucked around doing this.
Don't want no eggshell in there, no eggshell, no bits.
Man. And but
you don't want to see one of those ones that looks like it's a bit fucking fertilized versus unfertilized. But you get past that.
But no, that's not how things worked out for me. So I was initially kind of pissed off that I couldn't find unflavored whey, because I was like, oh, I gotta get the most natural stuff, whatever. But like the shit I get, the Optimum Gold Nutrition whey, that fucking it's the expensive stuff, but I forgot what I was going to say, man. What was the question again?
Let me give you this is a bit of history for you, right? So I've got a load of old, as Steve knows, and some of the listeners know, very old bodybuilding magazines going back many, many years. And one of the classic ones, you're going to love this. You really wouldn't want to read this. Bob Hoffman, who owned York Barbell back in the day, used to have something called Protein with two E's, not an E and an I, as a way of differentiating himself from Joe Weider. Protein from the sea. And essentially, this was cat food in all but name. The only problem they had, Steve, you're going to love this, I don't think even Vanlife would fucking go hardcore on this shit, is it was kind of oily. So the problem was, right, if you got a tin that was a little tiny bit what we now call past the sell-by date, you had this rancid fish oil sitting. So when you opened it, you're like, who the fuck's eating this shit? Why the fuck is it? Why does it smell like that? And this is only like 1950s, 1960s. So the egg thing again. This is for listeners. Same as in the UK, all our eggs now have a little, it's like a lion, a symbol printed onto them with an inkjet printer in the egg place. They're all clean. There's no fucking issues with bacteria and all that kind of stuff. And you could absolutely get the organic ones if you can, fresh as fuck from the local farmers. I know that Vanlife, as on his previous show, talked about the farmers market as a place to buy these things. So listen, he's getting on with it.
I didn't finish telling you about how you drink the eggs, man. So like,
go on.
The whey powder I get, it tastes like banana flavored candy. It tastes like fucking children's lollies. And then when I decided to like blow off like separating the egg whites, I just cracked like 3 eggs into it, and the eggs added a real nice texture. The color was fine, and it still just tasted like the banana candy. So like they became substantial. So like each one has 75 grams of protein from the whey powder, and then 5 eggs, and they've got 5.9 grams of protein each. So each of these shakes has got 101 grams of protein in it. They just taste like banana candy. Or I got like a chocolate one time. That was just like a chocolate milkshake that a like fucking child would drink. Like honestly, that's what it tastes like. So it's like not hardcore bullshit like on Rocky. Like I didn't even notice that I ate all these eggs. So like I tell people that I haven't eaten for ages, because I really haven't. I've had like in the last week I've had a pot of rice and like a couple of bits of fruit. I had like 5 bananas over the week. But that's like outside of these 20 eggs that I'm having over these 4 protein shakes. And just from those shakes, I get 404 grams of protein. So like, that's my baseline.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I've been doing that 10 weeks now.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit, and just expand. And Stephen mentioned this at the beginning. Some of your history in the past was really what caught people's imagination at all, in terms of you living in a cabin, the work that you was doing. So give us a couple of stories from back in the day of some of the crazy fucked up shit that you was doing as a sort of illustration, if you like,
maybe
of
some
the lifestyle.
travel
Yeah.
stories, some
Yeah,
women
yep,
stories, some
yep,
hippie life
yep.
stories, some really,
That's it.
really
Yep.
crazy ones. Even, that.
Oh, you put me on the spot there, but yeah, like I used to like work all throughout Asia, so like mainly in Singapore, which is like a banking and finance hub. Like all the work I did was like IT work, but it was in the like either the finance sector or the military industrial complex. So I was in Singapore a lot, but I was also addicted to opiates. So like, all the time we'd like go on weekend trips to fucking like Cambodia and stuff so we could raid the pharmacies. That's why I know like how to get like pharma products so well. And like a lot of the fake gear that we see, like seeing a lot of fake Anavar in New Zealand lately. Yeah, that fake Anavar that like fucking targets like generic pharma. Like they put it in the same blister packs and all sorts of shit. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get into drug testing so much. Like, well, there's two reasons. Like, the self TRT thing's like quite important to me. In addition to the bodybuilding, um, like
Yeah,
I've
because
got
the
to do the
quality,
TRT thing for health
your
reasons.
quality
Right?
of life, the TRT thing is the quality of life. Something I've just as an aside again, I find it fascinating that they'll spend so much time with the blister packs and faking that stuff when it would be it's only one step more to actually bringing that legitimate product. So it's a bit fucked up
I
that
know,
people
right?
go, yeah, just
It's
so
fucking
hard with the
awful, man.
printing, the foil, the packaging, and all the rest of that shit. And it'd only be one more step to put some actual fucking Anavar in the pills. It's not that much harder,
I know,
guys. You're
right?
nearly there.
And that one particularly fucked me off because, like, the fake Anavar, the one that affected our like Evo friend, that was Winstrol, and that was for a woman.
Yeah.
I don't know how these people sleep at night fucking selling like the steroid that's supposed to be safe enough for women in low doses, and
Yes.
they're selling them a fucking male hormone. That is fucked up
Yes.
shit,
Yes.
man.
Yes. That segues somewhat, and I actually said this on the forum. I've said it to Vanlife-GymBum in the pre-show. Something that you've done, and I've actually got this post open on the screen while we're talking. That you've actually got a thread going, which is all about the testing. So you've got your own log, what you're doing with your training, what you're doing with your food, and so on and so forth. And then you've also got another thread, which is specifically about and let me just get this on the screen here now, which is called Source Kiwi Bulk, a drug testing touchdown picks. And one of the things that Van Life has done is not only has he gone and got product tested for himself, but he's kind of educating the reader via talking to the people at the labs and the clinics that you go to. So something that Van Life and I had a little bit of a chat with online was in the United Kingdom and in New Zealand, we kind of follow the same model. And what I said this morning, Van Life, was the reason why these things exist in New Zealand and in the UK, because it's actually more cost effective to have guys with clean needles, needle exchanges, free shit, them coming and taking away your used pins than it is to have this stuff scattered around, people sharing needles, sharing pins, and so on. Off the back of that, and we do have something like this in this country, you have now got into the actual testing. So people can have clean drugs, even if it's narcotics, but also clean, safe steroid use. So talk about how you got into that and also the kind of education that you're giving people with regard to what you've actually learned about the testing.
Yeah, sure. Like, this is like a something that the needle exchange offers as well. Basically, they were like an organization that was set up to test pills at festivals. Like they take the like mobile lab, basically, like all the equipment that's in the office that I took photos of. They take that to festivals and shit, and they'll test pills on demand there. So it's got to have like the signature database of like all the crazy research chemicals that they're spitting out on Alibaba and stuff. So like the anabolic stuff, which half of them have been around for like since the 50s and shit. That's no problem. So one thing I noticed with helping people onto the TRT thing, especially people that aren't interested in lifting like I am, that just want to do the TRT thing. There's like heaps of people that have been rejected by the system in New Zealand that end up on EVO because they're looking for TRT stuff, not bodybuilding stuff. But a lot of these people, like, sometimes the needles were a big hurdle, and that's why I wrote that guide, which hopefully I was hoping it would make the needle exchange more accessible and less like, this horrible junkie place with all the stigma. It's like, nah, it's just a place where you go to get fucking free needles from. That's it.
That's it, yeah.
But the other thing was not the needles, but the source of the gear. So like, I've been doing street drugs like half my life. So like, I've shot up stuff that I found at the train station on the ground before. So I don't really, I've been using UGLs and stuff, but I put some effort into that. And like the UGL that I formed a relationship with, they've been around for ages. They're like experienced. I finally convinced them to join EVO, which has been awesome. And they use batch numbers on all this stuff. They make batches of 1,000, and they've all got batch numbers. And there's been a couple of random touchdown threads people have posted on EVO, and the batch numbers have matched the ones I got testing. So I can like post the results to them and say, hey, I actually got that batch you've got. I got that tested. But I really want people to start just doing this themselves. So there's two steps to it. One, you can go on demand and use the machine right there. And I've had 10 things tested now, so I know a little bit, where 250 mg per mil, like common testosterone enanthate concentration is fine. It'll read right there. It'll say the only detected compound was testosterone enanthate, no active compounds, and then it'll sort of give a list of like contaminants and pollutants and shit that it didn't have. But you can also then get it sent to the full lab for like real precise versions of that. And I had to do that with the orals because the like needle that the machine reads is like a tiny sample size. So with pills, it just hits the fill all the time.
Yeah.
So but now they've got full government funding. They will just get everything tested as a matter of course. So, for example, the other day, one of the samples I got from the UGL guy that wants to sell on EVO that I tested the samples for, I got equipoise that was 200 mg per mil. That read fine. That was found to be boldenone only, so all good. Then there was testosterone propionate at 100 mg per mil. That couldn't get a reading on. And then there was a sustanon blend, which I was super interested in because, it's got the 4 fucking esters in it. And it detected all 3 of the highest concentration ones, but didn't detect the testosterone propionate once again. So
that was something I was going to interrupt you with, because one of the issues, and you just mentioned this with the orals, and the way that I read it was, if it's at a lower concentration, the machine struggled to read it. If it was a higher concentration, it had a much better chance of reading it. Let me just explain again for the benefit of the listeners. Right, Vanlife is educating Oz and New Zealand members, is allowing them to be comfortable accessing these facilities. He's explaining how these facilities works. He's explaining how the testing works, and including, as I just said, if it's a lower milligram, it might not show up, but the higher milligram stuff will. The aspect of the idea, I'm sure if I was kind of like a Tory voter or something, or vaguely right-wing, or whatever the fuck it is, in whatever country you're in, the idea, why are we spending this money? Why are we? Because even at festivals, if they take a drug and it's contaminated and 10 people get ill and 5 people fucking die, that's millions of dollars. I don't care what country you're in. Whereas if they have safe drugs, then they're more likely to be okay. They're not going to become infected. They're not going to be hospitalized. They might get a bit fucked up, but people are there for that kind of stuff. And the reality is that the first The former cost a shitloads of money, whereas the latter cost a lot less. So it doesn't sound like a great thing if you kind of think that way, but in reality, it's actually a cost-saving exercise, whether it's for the United Kingdom NHS and the police, or whether it's the New Zealand police and the New Zealand Health Service, or the American medical industry. How does this sound to you, Steve, coming in from outside, especially from the American angle, looking in at what Vanlife is doing and what the New Zealand authorities are doing? How does that sound to you, looking in from the US perspective?
Yeah, it's just fascinating. New Zealand's a unique, thing because it's an island. So it's completely different, and their laws are very different than other countries. So it's always important, no matter what country you live in, what state you live in, what city you live in, what county you live in, to know the laws and to be able to do it. But I think it's great to be able to test your products. This is why, like on the forum, we have these approved sources no matter where you live in the world, that we have sources that guys can talk about. I today always go for a source that has products that are actually tested, and I can see the testing that was done to see how pure it is. I want to see that purity. I want to see if it's legit. I don't want to put anything in my body that's substandard, So
that's really it, man.
For sure.
That's exactly it. And that's what we want as well, man. And like we can't get to that point yet, because like when I turned on EVO, there was like one guy quietly selling. That's it. Now there's companies that are trying, but they're like just one-man operations, right?
It's tough.
So like, I had to interrupt you there, Vanlife. I said one of the problems that the New Zealand, the Kiwis have got, and one of the problems that the Aussies have got, we don't have as such. We still do a little bit, UK and US, but it's the way that they're getting the product into the country that is difficult. My girlfriend's sister is married to a fella that's in charge of or high up in New Zealand customs. I says, and the Australians, it's just as tough getting product into the country. So the nature of getting into the country and the nature of how it's manufactured, and as Kiwi just said, literally having one person on the forums, and now it's multiple that are in that situation, means you want to make, it's kind of like old school Mexico 20 years ago in the US bollocks versus what we have now with domestic and international deliveries, UK and US. It's still a little bit there. And Vanlife is almost at the front there of using what's available, trying to make sure that what we have got is clean and safe. And even me and Steve have done a show on this, Vanlife, where we talked about telling your significant other about your PED use because of the stigma associated with the idea of using needles. And I'll give you a silly example before we move on. A friend of mine, who should remain nameless, asked me to go to the needle exchange on his behalf. And I said, you're a grown-up man here when your balls. What's your problem? I've been down. It's perfectly fine. I buy my shit on Amazon and eBay. His problem was his ex-girlfriend worked then. He was now married with kids. And he goes, I can't fucking go there and have that conversation. You've got to go for me. So I'll fine, I'll fucking do it. Whatever. Let's move on a little bit here.
Yeah.
Let's move on a little bit.
Let's talk about some stories. Let's talk about, do you have any women's stories from your travels? Any crazy women's stories?
Oh, you put me on the spot there. But one thing that happened with women is when I started taking testosterone, they started reacting really fucking different to me, man. It's real crazy. I'm still figuring it out, but like, maybe like 4 weeks into testosterone, so like 6 weeks ago now, like a few things started happening. Like there was this couple walking their 2 Rottweilers down the street, and they like basically tripped over each other to try and talk to me first. And like, I kind of kept walking a bit, and they followed me down the street, like making sure I like finished the conversation with them. I was like, what the fuck is with these people? But like, things like that kept happening, and like, like I try and get the attention of women, like, but I usually have to get their attention. But now, like, they come to me, and it's been real fucking crazy. And what I've been writing about that course,
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Wait 1 second, Monster. You're a smart guy, Vanlife. I mean, we talked about in your last podcast. You're well educated. You were successful in finance.
Why?
Do you think from a scientific perspective,
Yes.
do you think
Yes.
women can smell those extra hormones on you, kind of like a
I'm
honey
gonna say
smells
it. Yeah,
bee,
yeah.
bees smell honey?
Pheromones, man. Pheromones. You see, testosterone pheromones. And also, I suspect this is an aspect because of his energy. We know about Van Life's energy, how he comes across. There's even an argument to be made, Steve, about how he walk, chest high, confident, and that kind of stuff. Do you think that's what you was exuding there, Van Life,
No,
coming across a certain way?
and I was going to get to that. Like, I initially thought it was because I started showering again and like actually going outside and stuff. But like, I've been trying to do this my whole life, man. Like, um, this is definitely a different thing. But yeah, Liv first brought up like, oh, women can detect like high testosterone levels and they respond to it. I was like, fuck, what's this guy been smoking? But it just kept happening. And it's like when I started studying it, I was like, okay, this is real crazy shit.
Yeah. It was
And like,
funny. I was funny years ago. I was dating this chick. We were dating for a couple months, and she was so into me. You wouldn't believe how much she was into me. I was on my cycle. Then I came off cycle, went into PCT, and I crashed, right? And she one day calls me up out of the blue. She's like, "Are you sitting down?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I don't want to be with you anymore. I can't describe why. I'm just not attracted to you anymore. You're a perfect guy, but I'm not attracted to you anymore. I don't know why." And it was literally that was I was like, shit, it's the steroids. She was with me because she detected the steroids. Then when I stopped the steroids and I crashed and I went below, my testosterone levels dropped to like in the hundreds.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
she didn't detect that anymore, and I wasn't attracted to her anymore. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't there some sort of I'd say, psychological science which goes to do with the high risk, the macho shag you, talk to you later, babe kind of vibe, which says where women are on their menstrual cycle, they will go with the quote unquote risky, I know I shouldn't be with him kind of guys for sex, but they would go with the lower risk, lower testosterone guys for partners. And even, you're going to love this, even in the high risk guys, our testosterone levels were lower if we are in a committed relationship, meaning it actually goes down on its own because we're not trying to fuck her every 5 minutes, obviously, and we want to have kids with her, and we want to have a house with her, and she's made us a nice nest to go live in, and our own testosterone levels goes down. So the thing with the steroid argument becomes thus: it makes us, quote unquote, perhaps, and we've talked about this, slightly higher risk. It makes us more of a perception, whether that's pheromone smell, in our sweat, the way that we walk with a swagger. I can lift all this fucking weight, blah 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 blah. Look at my fucking big chest vibe. Kind of almost come across in that risky way, even if you haven't changed into that person, because of how people perceive in you, whether that's in your posture, whether that's in the look, whether you're just spending more time making eye contact. I'll tell you one that always used to annoy me, which is they only became interested when I was with a woman. And why wasn't they interested when I was on my own? That
Yeah,
always
yeah,
used to be
that's funny too. Like that's why women
that's
chase
exciting.
married guys. Yeah. So it's Van Bum. Talk about that a little bit, and we want to hear more stories. Rest of the way, I want you to basically tell as many stories as you can, because that's what the guys really want to hear from you.
Yeah, you gotta prompt me, man. Like fucking, like what genre? I don't know, man.
Yeah, let's talk about some travel stories, some hippie life stories, just any crazy story that you can recall. Anything, a drug story, anything. Like a guy the other day on the forum posted that his girlfriend wasn't responding to him, so he went to her house and he busted down the door and he walked in and he found his girlfriend having sex with a meth dealer and he threw
Oh
something
yeah,
at the
yeah, that's
girl.
my new lobby guy.
Just
Yeah, yeah,
crazy
yeah.
stories, yeah.
So yeah, okay. Well, what happened that was good this week is like EVO New Zealand's like slowly growing, but like one logger a month would be good. But this week, while being so busy, is like two guys joined, and one guy was he just got out of prison, and his name's Joel. Yeah, he just got out of prison, and he was doing 1,000 push-ups a day in prison. He was there for 2 months, and yeah, he's got abs already. He's still pretty cut. And he just got a bottle of testosterone, his first one, yesterday, and did his first pin. So he's on the testosterone.
That's the guy that
we're
gonna try to get him on the podcast as well because he has some crazy stories for sure.
he loves you guys. He's a big fan of you guys. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's like, He does every other day fasting. He just done like a 36-hour dry fast. He's
Oh
into
wow.
you
Okay,
guys.
cool.
You could definitely do that.
Yep.
So he turned up, and another guy from the South Island turned up who is going to start TRT. But like, he was one of the guys whose wife worried about the source of the gear. So like, teach him how to do the lab testing and stuff. But why I want to separate testosterone and equipoise and the other steroids I'm interested in for like recreational bodybuilding purposes. I want the testosterone to be different. Like, I've got all my stuff sorted, and I'm really happy with my UGL, and I'm really glad they joined EVO, and I've got all my testosterone sorted, and everyone's welcome to use my method as well, although he uses Bitcoin. But what I really want to do is like with testosterone, like for TRT reasons, like one 10 mil vial of testosterone and anthate will be 4 months worth at 150 megs. So why can't we plug into the bigger Evo system where you guys have these like amazing brands that sponsor you, like Europharma and that, like big fucking pharmaceutical companies like Beligas from Belgium and stuff like that, and some of those big sources like the 6 on the front page in the little banner ads. I've contacted two of their reps on the forum that have customer bases in New Zealand. So what I mean about flouting the law is like I'm just going to order a vial of testosterone from one of those big brands that have the certificate of analysis, the like genoshake testing, all that shit. Get that testosterone, get it in one vial at a time, which is your 4 months worth of TRT. That's acceptable. Like most people get like a whole cycle worth and order like 15 fucking vials, and that'll look crazy on the scanner at customs, and it'd be hard to explain. And to some people that wouldn't look like personal use, even though it probably is. But one vial of testosterone, we can just get that in. So yeah, what I want to set up now is like order all this stuff myself, go through the whole process, and just document it and post that on the New Zealand sub, so like people can copy that. But yeah, I think it's good that we on Evo have options where we can use like Europharma and Parapharma and stuff, and also use our local UGLs as well. Because like I use my local UGL because that's the stuff I get tested. Like I'm happy with it. Like I don't know the exact purity, but I know that it only contains testosterone and anthate, and that's good enough for me. But if that's not good enough for this like suburban dad who just joined, that's sweet, yeah, man. Like he can get the overseas shit, and I don't think it'd be a big deal. And even if it did get caught, but it's easy to explain. It's not going to be a thing. Like I've had like shipments of like benzos and shit like that. Nothing's happened over those, and they were just in my real name. So like a bowl of testosterone, which is a gray area thing anyway, they don't enforce that. They don't care. Like unless you started selling it at the farmer's market, it's unlikely that anything's going to happen.
I love that. I love how you're trying to think outside the. Some people wouldn't think in the way that you're thinking, and you're trying to think ahead of how can we overcome this problem? How can we make this easier? How can we quote unquote legalize it and make it easier for guys to get good product in? That's a good idea. Tell us a little bit. You mentioned just this week, this is almost a women problem we were referring to earlier. It was almost by accident you got put on. You're doing some training courses, and you almost by accident got put onto. Yeah, what was that about?
Oh, okay. So, like, on the unemployment benefit, aka the dole, that means I get $300 a week from the government, and that's what I live on. But every so often they hassle you about getting a job. They're like, "Oh, so what have you been doing about getting a job?" So, like, I made up all this bullshit about how, like, oh, it wasn't bullshit. I told them about how I volunteer on the boat and stuff, and like I'm learning to weld, and they're like, "Oh, well, actually." The fire department offer this apprenticeship program where you can like become apprentice welder, and like they'll teach you to weld. I was like, oh fuck, that sounds great. So like I went to what I thought was going to be like prep to go to a job interview, which would be like the government seeing that you don't have the right clothes and buying you some clothes and that sort of shit. But when I got there, it was like a room full of women, and I was late because I had to go get my methadone dose on the like one side of town. I was like an hour late by the time I got there, and so I walked into a room with like 20 women who were all like giggling, and they all stopped and looked at me. And I was like, handled it pretty well. I was like, what the fuck's going on? And it had like the lady was like reminding me of Tony Robbins. She was like a motivational speaker. It was like giving these fired up motivational speeches to these women about like self-esteem and shit. And there was like one other dude there. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here, man? Like the course was called Women of Worth. It was basically a self-improvement course for like unemployed women. But I just could have been rolling with it. It was getting better and better every week. And this week was all about like community building and like finding non-traditional jobs and shit. But these are the women that I was talking about, like reacting really different to me, man. Like, okay, for example, this like quite cute 20-year-old girl who turns out is real troubled, but I didn't know that to start with. Like the first day she comes up to me and talks to me, she stands right behind me and like basically puts her hand down my shirt and starts like rubbing my back. Like,
like,
you know, like,
I've had relationships start like that. You be careful.
This is like 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Or 10:20 actually.
Wow.
But this shit did not used to happen, even at random, like even at the pub. Like seriously, man, it just didn't happen until I started with testosterone. And what was so obvious about it that time? It was a fucking entire room full of women, not just one or two. Yeah. The whole thing's crazy. So now I've got a new weed dealer that I met there, and like one chick, she's gonna start taking retatrutide. Like she was saving up to go get her stomach stapled in Turkey. And she was telling me all about how she's going to go get stomach stapling in Turkey, and it's only going to be $7,000. I was like,
I'm just thinking, Vanlife, we need to get you Pigsy to make you a special EVO. Come and talk to me about losing weight T-shirt or something. So fucking mad. See back of T-shirt for after hour sex. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
I'm pretty fond of big girls. I don't want to tell too many of them about retatrutide, but you know.
He's out there spending the Evo vibe even on his training courses, Steve. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, sir. So as we finish up the podcast, Vanlife, any other funny stories that you can talk about, or shocking stories? Anything you've seen at the beach? That's been any beach stories, like any late night beach stories that you've had, any encounters with police kicking you off the beach or with your van or anything like that?
Oh, no, the police love me, man. Now that I'm a registered homeless person, they basically leave me alone. But yeah, that happened by accident. Like, I wasn't gonna do it because, like, I heard you can get away with like not having all the like van registrations and shit if you tell him you're homeless. But I didn't want to go and tell the government that I'm a homeless person, and like that seems crazy. But yeah, I got caught up with the police while I was like high on benzos one time, and like it was like a female officer, and like I started really enjoying her company, and like she was like really pissed off because I've passed the alcohol blood breath test because I was wasted on benzos, and like I was trying to chat her up, and she was like, she wasn't too fond of it, but
was she attractive? Was she attractive?
Through that whole event, I told her my entire story, and she put me on the like homeless like person who lives in their car register. And after that happened, like the police attention just dropped off. Like, you know, I can park on main roads where they'd usually fucking fuck with me, but they haven't since that night.
They're not seeing you as someone out there that's causing havoc and aggravation. We spoke to him. He's a nice fella. She's high. When they saw you, you was high. But you're not out there causing fucking havoc and aggravation and giving them a fucking job to do. You're just a nice guy that they've stopped that one time. And because she's listened to your whole fucking story, because she's actually kind of found out what you were like, she's probably told the others, don't fucking worry about him. He's good as gold. And if just go and have a chin wag and we put the fucking kettle on or something. But obviously not when you're off your tits or whatever, when you was off your tits.
No, I was causing trouble that night. I crashed into a couple of cars.
That would do it.
Yeah. You're right. The police are really reasonable here, and like we're having like a cost of living crisis here as well, and like not many people can afford homes, especially like first home buyers and shit. So there's more and more people living in their cars. It's like it's not a far out thing, and
that's the one thing the UK, you don't have this issue, but United States too, we have a cost of living. So what people are doing where I live, they're getting like little boats, little sailboats that they can sleep in, and people are just like living on their boat. And then now the rich people are trying to kick them off, like because if you're on your boat in front of a rich person's house, like on the beach or
Yeah.
in the river, then the rich people get upset. So because the rich people think they own the water. So yeah, and now they're trying to
We
pass.
do have a little. We do have a little bit of that. That one of
Yeah,
the people.
nothing like what we have in
No,
the
no,
U.S.
no,
and New
no,
Zealand. Yeah,
not the sleeping in the car vibe, but we do have
yeah,
the other aspect with property price. You just said something, and I actually mentioned it when I said when we had Madcap on, and I said my buddy Andy had gone to live on a canal barge, and one of the tricks, including what you just said about the rich people's houses, you're allowed to tow up, you're allowed to stop the canal barge, but you can only stay on that pitch for 2 weeks. If you stay longer than that, you've got to get a license. So the trick is you can pull up outside a rich person's house, stay there for 2 weeks on the canal barge, on the river, or whatever else, but you must move after 14 days.
yeah.
Otherwise, there could be an issue. And then they've obviously got a legal reason to
So you
move
can
you on.
move like for a couple days and then move back,
Yes.
and you'd be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Just 1 gallon of things, a 2-stroke engine, 9 horsepower.
So what do you in terms
of
of that, the laws and stuff from the van? I think you talked about it briefly, but refresh us on what are the laws for the van? Are you allowed to park like in a company's parking lot? Do you have to get permission from the manager there? How does that work? Where do you like to park your van usually?
Nah, I just park on public roads because that's normal. Like I go the stealth route. Like my van's not obviously a camper van because I did have an obvious camper van, and that's the one that got stolen because it's obviously a camper van. They're worth money, but I've got like a filthy old like Ford pickup, transit van now, like a real big one.
Yeah.
That's the first build that I've done from scratch. So like I want to do the kitchen nicely and have like good fridge for my peptides and shit, and maybe get
Nice.
like an Olympic bar and some bands and like maybe even like a pull-up bar and mount it to the roof so I can do pull-ups in here and shit. That'd be cool.
Well, that's what I like about you. You're like, I want to get a fridge, not for your food, not for your drinks, but for your peptides. You got to have something for your peptides. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, man. I don't drink eggs now, man. I don't do any chewing.
Okay. So that's great. Yep. Mobster?
I
Anything
said
to
I
add?
just like I've seen some amazing van conversions and stuff like that, and they can look exactly like a van from the outside. And then you can open up the back door, and it's all fitted out, beautiful, mate. Especially if you can make it yourself, whether you weld it.
There's
Like
some
you
amazing
that,
ones in the UK, man, because it's so fucking cold over there. They buy these little buses and they put full-on open fireplaces in them. It's awesome.
yeah. My daughter was doing something with a double-decker bus, but I think that fell through. But one of the things is literally a stone plinth on the floor, and then you just have to have a proper flue going up out through the roof and shit. Just got to be sealed. Biggest issue is waterproofing, and I would imagine
That'd be
vibration
awesome.
when you're driving, but that's about it.
Oh, mate, you could have a bathtub in there. Fucking, yeah,
Oh
it'd be
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, seen it. Double-decker bus with a bathtub. Vanlife is exactly right. Fucking hell, mate. Honestly, some lovely conversions. You're much better off doing this yourself. The price to buy for conversion or some of this fitted equipment is horrendous because it's all custom built. If you do it yourself, it's a lot better.
The off-the-shelf stuff's rubbish. Like those camper vans, they're like basically toys. Like they only get away with it because people only use them once a year. But yeah,
Yes.
they're absolutely rubbish. Yeah, you got to do it yourself.
You seen any of those ones where they got the trucks and they drive across the fucking deserts in Africa and all that kind of shit? It's like for the end of the world kind of vehicles. If it's a 44.
Yeah, man, that's a rich man sport. That's
Yeah,
called landing.
exactly. With the fucking water sanction. If you don't have the stuff with you, you're fucked. So you got to take it with you.
Yeah, that's popular in the Australian outback as well, but it's pretty hardcore, man. It's fucking dangerous shit, and my van breaks down like just in the city, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be taking it to the outback.
No. I don't think it's one of that stuff. Again, for people that are listening to this show, and we're having this conversation now, it's hard for people to get their heads around that lifestyle. It's hard for them to imagine whatever else, but it's become your normal, your daily, your whatever else. So you adapt to that lifestyle. And in some ways, it's very simple. The idea, like we did on the previous show, that you could park up by the beach. or park up by the gym, we're like, fuck, that sounds all right. There are
Well, yeah,
obviously
that's
things
good, man. Like, okay, people like fucking, they'll like work to buy a mansion with a swimming pool
yes,
and a basketball
yes,
court, but then they got in their fucking basketball court. No one's coming around to their fucking swimming pool. They got to maintain all that bullshit.
yeah,
Fucking, what the hell do they have to do at their fucking corporate job to get that in the first place? They're
yeah.
fucking trading their entire life for this bullshit.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's a
that,
good
man.
perspective. Yeah. It's like the people who live on the beach who have a swimming pool. It's like, why do you have a swimming pool when you can just walk on the
Right
beach
by
and
the
swim?
water.
Yeah. It's
Have you
kind of
seen the
like
classic?
that.
Have you seen the classic picture, Steve, and Van Life? There's three girls from a swimming pool, and because it's raining, they've got an umbrella up. They're in
Oh,
the
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
water, and they've got
They're
an
like,
umbrella because they don't want to get their hair wet.
Yeah.
You're in water right now. What the
So
fuck?
overall, Van Life, before we finish out, would you say you're at the happiest you've ever been in your life right now?
oh, definitely, man, definitely. Like, I only used to be fake happy because I was high on drugs all the
Yeah,
time.
Do you
I
think
wasn't happy at all. I
do
was
you,
all fucked
do you
up, man.
think those people you're just talking about, like the corporate people who have the big fucking house in the suburb and have a wife and two kids and a dog, whatever, you think that they're truly happy, like going to work, 7, 8 hours a week, like a lawyer, for example, who has to work like
mm,
80, 90 hours a week? Do you think they're really
yeah.
happy, or do you think that's bullshit?
I think they spend all day, every day, fantasizing about strangling their wives and shooting themselves in the head.
I don't. I wouldn't go that far, but I do think there's an argument to be made that we do in the UK. Same thing with the property prices that Steve mentioned earlier on. And I said half the time these people are moaning. They've got a mobile phone. They're on the internet. They've got satellite TV, and they're moaning about the expenses they've got in their life. We'll go get rid of your phone. Get rid of the satellite TV. Come off the fucking internet. That's $100, $200 you're saving right fucking there. So we choose
Yeah,
like those lawyers. We
That's the boom.
choose,
That's the boomer mentality, mobster,
yeah,
coming
yeah.
out
But
right
it's
there.
also it's that's that solicitor, that lawyer working 70 hours a week, and he never gets to swim in his swimming pool because he's working so fucking
Yeah,
hard.
yeah,
He never
no,
gets to enjoy the things that
exactly.
he's
I
spent
know.
so much fucking money on. So that doesn't make sense to me
Well,
either.
that's pretty much me because like fishing, like I get to fish maybe once a week if I'm
Yes,
lucky because I'm working 78 hours a week. So that's me.
yeah,
And I think van life, that's why I'm asking. Like it seems like van life is living a happier life than I am, ironically.
yes. I
Even though
think
I
I'm living
live
a
That's
happier life.
something I don't know, Steve. If I could fish and get my own fish and be more self sufficient, then I'd be fucking really happy.
I
Like
know,
that'd be
right?
Ah,
awesome.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. And people do that. I've seen videos of people like on an island and they just live on the island and they just go get fish and they throw it on a little, barbecue that they make and they live the life for sure. So that
No,
is
there's these van life guys in Florida that are on Reddit. They all live in this wacky community, or by community I mean they all parked up
yeah,
their
yeah.
like vans at the same like homeless camp in the bush, but they just fucking go fishing every day and they just live off
exactly.
fish.
Yeah.
It's like a seasonal thing. They go down there in the like when it's winter in their home state. They go down to Florida and eat fish all fucking winter where it's still warm, and then go back to their state when it's summer.
Big
I saw a
bingo.
thing. I
That's the
saw a thing
best thing.
yesterday,
Yeah.
guys, where this one society is somewhere in the Arctic Circle. This one society, they have to catch all of their fish for the whole fucking year in 1 week. And in the photograph, he's pulling hundreds of
Wow.
these like 4 pound fish out because that's the only time of year they can catch them because of the
Huh.
Whoa,
weather.
holy shit.
And they have to get all the fish they're going to eat for the year. This 1, 2, 3, 4
Yep.
days. So listen, people do. If they live in these places, it can be done. It's just about we don't get it. We're in modern society, we're comfortable with certain things, we think we
Yeah.
need certain things, and when someone like Van Life comes along and goes, no, you don't fucking need all that shit,
It
and
gives you
I'm happy.
perspective.
Yes, exactly, that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's a different way of looking at things. Listen, Van Life, thank you so much for coming on again, fella. Obviously, listen, as I said at the beginning of the show, your energy is out there, the excitement that he comes across, the way that he's putting his knowledge out for his fellow Kiwi members and bringing people to the forum, the fact that he's even thinking, how can we do this for the future, which is going to benefit the New Zealand and the Australian guys. I love that shit. Quick thoughts from you, Steve, before we finish the show.
Yeah, the thoughts are, I mean, this is a good perspective, podcast, and it kind of gives perspective on things. I think a lot of you younger guys out there can look at van life and be like, look, he's living kind of free. He's living a free life. But like for you guys, it's important to make sure You know, if you want to live a free life later on and have the options, more flexibility and options, it's important for you guys to keep your noses clean. You know, go get an education. Make sure
Yes.
you keep your record clean. Make sure you don't, you know, make mistakes early in life. Make sure, you know,
Yes.
you do what you got to do. This way, later on, if you do want to live the van life or live
Yes.
the boat life or any of that stuff,
Yes.
you have the flexibility to do it, and that's what's
Choose.
important. Yeah.
Choose, yes. Having choices is important. Again, Van Life, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm sure that the listeners are going to love this show as well. As always,
Oh.
please note, sorry for that. As always, please note, we are not doctors and the opinions are ours. It is our view based on our experience and views on the topic, and podcasts are for informational purposes and entertainment only. The freedom of speech and the First Amendment applies.